Well, folks, we are live, and I can safely say that 3 straight days of nonstop basketball is starting to catch up to me a little bit. Tip-off really snuck up on me. I look up 1 minute, it's half an hour on the clock. I look up the next one, we're down to 3 minutes. So I'll give you a rundown of the tournament as fast as I can, just a few moments removed from tip-off between Landrum and Woodruff in tonight's main event, the final game of the 21st annual Battle of the Border tournament hosted by Landrum High School here in the Cage. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. I'm Luke Ruff for Landrum High School, and really such an interesting scenario that we're in with this tournament. Not necessarily because of the COVID stuff or anything outside of Landrum, but it's just been a really big day because in game 9 of 12, that being the first game today, Riverside was already declared champion. They had Woodruff mathematically eliminated on tiebreakers pretty much by the end of that first game. So Riverside already declared the champion. Woodruff 2-0 with a plus 16 point differential. And as I'm looking at it right now, they have completely locked up that number 2 spot. They cannot move up, they cannot move down. Chapman is in 3rd place at 2-2. Really the only things that can occur right now regard Boiling Springs moving up and down, Landrum moving up and down, and that's about it. And I think that lends itself well to the scenario that this game is taking place in, because for all that we've seen through this tournament, all the drive for the trophy, all the talk about tiebreakers and whatnot, I think for the first time we're going to see a game that, because it doesn't have any real effect on standings, or I don't know if it even affects overall records for the season, playoff berths, anything like that. For the first time in this tournament, we're going to see 2 teams go at it solely because they love to play basketball, and that is something I really want to keep an eye on today. Both of these teams, again, no real implications for this game, nothing to gain, nothing to lose. You're going to see 2 teams come out here and just have fun playing basketball. And I can tell you, whoever has more fun is going to be the team that wins the game. Whoever keeps themselves entertained and occupied in a more constructive manner is going to come away with the last victory of the 21st annual Battle at the Border tournament. Tip-off set between Zy Scott and Marco Gonzalez for Landrum, and Scott wins it, gets it over to Nathan Montjoy. Of course, I find out a few minutes before tip-off that I had the entirely wrong roster for Woodruff. I'd had it for the past 2 days. I got pretty much everybody's name wrong. Not that I was mispronouncing them, but they seem to have switched numbers from the roster I got. There is no player named Jonathan West. 15 is Nathan Montjoy. Number 10 is Davon Jeter. Number 11, there is no player named, I don't even remember what I had down for 11, Marcellus Dial. Marcellus Dial isn't even on the team anymore. That was Tay Goggins. Jalen Tribble, number 14. I was calling 14 Nathan Montjoy. Again, there is no such player as Jonathan West. That's who I thought 15 was. Ken Moats, number 20, and I was mispronouncing Dion Bartley's name. It's Dion Bartley, not Dion, as I thought it was. Woodruff able to score the first points of the game with a quick 3-pointer, and Landrum responding there. Isaiah Washington there. So all knotted up, 3-3 with 6:49 to play in the first period. This is Montjoy sinking the easy 2. Woodruff goes up 5-3. Mason Raines looking around, goes right inside to Cooper Gentry and has the game tied up at 5. And that one is good. Woodruff back on top by 2. Raines gets it to Zay, and Isaiah Washington's shot comes up empty. 2 minutes in. And Montjoy with another layup. Two-score lead for Woodruff, excuse me. And inside to Ethan Dugat. Just going to take a step back, goes for the shot. Nothing doing. Rebounded by Woodruff. That's number 10, Davon Jeter, driving and that's 9-5 in favor of Woodruff in the early stages. 5:40 to play in the first. Marco Gonzalez looking around. Gets it back to Isaiah Washington. Back to Gonzalez. Inside to Dugat. Dugat gets it to Washington. Washington going to drive inside, now looking to get away. Mason Rains for the long three. Sinks it! What a shot from Mason Rains! Back down to a 1-point lead for Woodruff. Woodruff flips it over. That was Davon Jeter driving in, and that one called against Dugat, so 2 shots coming up for Jeter. And actually, no, that was not a shooting foul. Scratch that. And Deion Bartley getting it over to Scott. Scott for 3. Got it! Now Isaiah Washington flipping it over to Gonzalez. Gonzalez goes inside for Gentry, back to Gonzalez. And now Mason Rains flips it to Dugat. Dugat trying to split some defenders, got fouled. Or no, didn't get fouled. They call him for traveling. Or I'm really not sure what that was for, but they give possession back to Landrum. Landrum sideline still fired up. Mason Rains looking to check it in. Sends it over to Gonzalez. Back to Rains. Right for the three-pointer. Overshoots it. Rebounded by Deion Bartley. Over to, that is number 3, Shamir Dendy. No, Shamar Dendy. That was another name I was getting wrong. Shamar Dendy. And whistles blow. 12-8 in favor of the Wolverines. And the official having a word with Landrum's coach. Looks like we're ready to go now. Dugat checks it into Washington. And Washington goes straight for the 3. Got it! Back down to a 1-point game. 4:07 to go in the first. Gentry almost stole that one. And still short. Rebounded by Gonzalez. Landrum with a chance to take the lead. Isaiah Washington gets it to Gonzalez. Wanted to go for 3. Now gets it inside to Dugat. Dugat looking to get rid of it. Back to Gonzalez. Gonzalez driving inside and called for travel. Thought he took one too many steps there. Possession goes back to Woodruff. Bartley to check in.
14, Jalen Tribble on the game for Woodruff.
And this is Jalen Tribble taking it down. Tribble, the player I called Nathan Montjoy. Nathan Montjoy, 15. Montjoy has it now, flipping it inside to Bartley. And Bartley had that one slip out of his hand, rebounded by Ethan Dugat. And Washington slings it down the field for Gentry, and he got tangled up with Scott. No foul call for either of them. And okay, now they decide to blow the whistle. And it looks like it is going to be Woodruff ball, but way back on the other side of the court. Substitutions for Landrum, Dugat, and Gentry exiting. They're replaced by Spencer Harmon and Noah Weiss. And Scott driving inside, no, rebounded by Harmon, and taken away by Shamar Dendy. Flips it over to Scott, and Scott can't get it a second time. That fouls on this one. And Zy Scott will get some free throw attempts. First shot rolls out. Second one is good. 13-11 lead for Woodruff. Isaiah Washington looking for an opening. Gets it over to Marco Gonzalez. Gonzalez sends it to Raines. Raines wanted to go for three. Inside for Harmon now. Harmon sends it up and just rolls out. Jump ball. Gonna go, oh no, they call a foul against Harmon. It'll be Woodruff ball regardless. Possession area was for them anyway. 2:49 to play in the first now. Bartley checking in to Tribble. Jalen Tribble gets it over to Shamar Dendy. Back to Tribble now. Back to Dendy. And Dendy loses his footing, taken away by Noah Weiss, and they're going to get him for traveling. He's on all fours, and they call him for traveling. So right back to Woodruff. 2:32 to play in the first. Bartley getting it over to Zy Scott. Scott looking around, finds Dendy. Back to Scott, fakes to the inside, going, and Woodruff lost the handle on that one, and it'll be a turnover forced by Landrum. Patrick Clark to check it in.
11, Tay Goggins, and now for the Wolverines.
Tay Goggins in the game now for Woodruff, number 11. The player I was calling Marcellus Dial. And Marcellus Dial does not exist to my knowledge. There's at least no player on the roster, on the real roster. The one I had him listed as 11. And now Mason Raines looking around. Just kind of hands it off to Washington. Slow moving by Landrum. I've seen this strategy from a few teams. Usually when teams slow down like that, they'll try and catch the defense off guard by picking up the pace, but Landrum kind of forgot to do that, idled around too long, got it taken away by Woodruff, and Woodruff able to capitalize. Shamar Dendy with the layup. Now Raines for three, off the mark, and rebounded by Patrick Clark. He gets it over to Gentry, inside to Dugat. Dugat looking, got it. Landrum down by 2 with 80 seconds to play in the first. This is Montjoy going for three, off the mark, rebounded by Dugat. Closing in on a minute in the first now. Dugat slings it up. Oh, bounces out of the rim. Dion Bartley taking it down the court now. Sending it inside to Montjoy. Montjoy going up and off the mark. They're going to call it Landrum ball. 51 seconds remaining in the first. 15-13 in favor of Landrum, or in favor of Woodruff, excuse me. Jake Ballou in the game now for the Cardinals. Isaiah Washington taking his time. Oh, taken out by Shamar Dendy. Huge scramble for it. Whistles blow. Landrum says they have it. Woodruff says they have it. And I think they're going to give this one to Woodruff. And more reason not to wait. Still figuring this one out. And they're going to give it back to Landrum, so more reason not to listen to anything I say. So honestly, judging by the body language on the sideline, I don't know that anybody's too sure what happened. Cooper Gentry checking into Washington. 30 seconds to play in the first now. Washington trying to box a man out, gets it over to Jake Ballou. Now Ballou in trouble and sends it right to 11. Tay Goggins with the steal. And looks like we've got a foul against Landrum, so it'll be Woodruff ball. Mason Raines in now. Jake Ballou subbing out. I believe he was the one called for that foul. 15 seconds remaining in the first. Oh, and off the fingertips of Happy Lee. So 11.3. Landrum going to try and get things at least tied up before the end of the first period. Washington driving down the court, makes some men miss, slings it over to, oh, Patrick Clark is wide open, and there were whistles beforehand. And we got a foul against Landrum. Shot was off the mark anyway. I didn't catch the number. And Dion Bartley gets it over. Oh, and that's going to end the first period. Goggins would have had a chance to sling it for a buzzer beater, but sends it out of bounds by mistake. Couldn't bring in the pass. So at the end of the first period, main event living up to the hype so far. Woodruff up by 2, 15-13 when we come back. Sorry about that delay there. Didn't pick a very good time to go get water. Looks like Woodruff was able to sink another three-pointer. Lee goes back out to 5. Landrum trying to get a response score in. And Gonzalez had a lane for 3. Instead, oh my, what a play by Woodruff. Taken away, and now Goggins puts Woodruff up by 3 scores. Timeout taken by Landrum. Man, what a turn of events for Woodruff. Back in 30 seconds. All right, so we're back after that timeout. Landrum looking to respond. Biggest deficit of the game so far for the Cardinals. Inside to Spencer Harmon, back outside to Gonzalez. And now Washington driving inside, spinning, almost lost it, hangs on, and sends it out of bounds to nobody. Trying to get it to Gonzalez, and Gonzalez not home. And it's going to remain Landrum ball, actually. I guess one of the Wolverines touched it on the way out. Raines checks it to Gonzalez. Gonzalez now hands it over to Washington. Looks like he was going to do it at first. And I don't know who Washington was throwing that one to, but that is taken away by Mason Raines, only to be taken away again. Ball loose, and Shamar Dendy with the clear line for the goal. Got it. Woodruff up by 9. Spencer Harmon looking for a lane now. Slings it up for Dugat, and you can tell Landrum's feeling the pressure already. Raines going for two, incomplete. Rebounded by Goggins. And now Dendy for a long three, off the mark. 6:22 to play in the second. Washington driving inside, bulldozes a man, and they call it against Washington. Charging called against the Cardinals, so those points come off the board. Woodruff stays on top by 9. Woodruff looking around, sending it over to the sidelines. That's Nick McConnell, number 13. Back over to Tribble, and going inside, Dion Bartley giving Woodruff their first double-digit lead of the game. Wolverines starting to pull away here. 5:49 to play in the second. Mason Raines gets it over to Washington, excuse me. Raines now for three, and off the rim, rebounded by Goggins. Tay Goggins making quite an impact on this game. Oh, and an underhand shot from Tribble. And just like that, Woodruff has doubled Landrum. 26-13. 5:20 to play in the second. Now Washington takes a step back, goes for the long three, and it rolls out of the rim. Rebounded by Tribble. Gets it over to Bartley, and Bartley, he's been very... It's odd. Woodruff always seems to want to go fast as a team, and then when Bartley gets it and takes it down the court, he always goes at a snail's pace, it seems like, compared to the rest of the team. Now picking up the pace, and maybe that's why he goes so slow up and down the court. So when he speeds it up inside, the teams get a little confused. Mason Raines flips it over to Harmon. Harmon for three, and off the rim. Landrum needed that one, and they do get points. Marco Gonzalez bumps it in for the layup. Cannot overstate, I should say, how much Landrum needed that. About halfway through the second period now. Woodruff still up by 13. Dion Bartley from the free throw line. Got it. Woodruff over 30 now. Mason Raines thought about going for three. Gentry for two. Rolls in. Four minutes to play now in the second period. Halftime looming. Landrum still down by 13. Both teams trading blows now. Inside to Bartley. Now Bartley just going to try and do it himself. Flips it back over to Goggins to Tribble. Tribble gets it to McConnell. And McConnell over to Goggins. Goggins for three, and too far to the right. Jump ball, and they're going to say that Bartley was fouled. That's the 7th foul for Landrum, too. So Woodruff in the bonus now. Substitution for Landrum. Noah Weiss out of the game, or Noah Weiss in the game now. Spencer Harmon out. Nathan Montjoy back in for Woodruff. And that shot off the mark, rebounded by Montjoy. Montjoy sends it up, got it. Woodruff back on top by 15. 3.5 minutes to play. Oh, and Washington sends it out of bounds. Weiss was not ready for that one. Timeout called by Landrum, and I imagine they're about to get an earful. Coach was arguing with the ref about that rebound call that got Bartley his foul shot there, and given how fired up he was there, surprisingly almost silent over there in the huddle with the Cardinals. Landrum definitely needs a timeout like this to just kind of get their feet back under them. It's been a rough second period. They went into this one, heck, just 4.5 minutes ago, this was a 2-point game. Woodruff has bent the lead all the way out to 15. Landrum has scored 4 points since the end of the first. Being outscored 15-4 through, 4.5 minutes. 3:24 remaining in the second. Montjoy checks it in to Tribble. And this is Montjoy sending it inside to Bartley. Bartley fakes, now wants to get back out. And Landrum's sideline fired up again. Can they will their defense to a stop? Deion Bartley for 3, off the rim, and rebounded by Isaiah Washington. Under 3 to play now. Washington flips it over to Gonzalez. Gonzalez for 3, off the rim. Rebounded by number 11, Tay Goggins. Goggins looking around, sends it over to Bartley. Bartley thought about going for 3, he really thought about it. And that one blocked by Cooper Gentry. Gentry keeps it in play and gets it to Ethan Dugat. Dugat flips it to Washington, back to Dugat. Dugat from inside the 3-point line, too far. Rebounded by McConnell, he gets it to Tribble. Back to McConnell, over to Bartley now. Bartley slinging it across the court. McConnell for 3, and Gonzalez able to get in his face there. Woodruff with the rebound though. Bartley for 2, got it. And Woodruff doubles Landrum again, 34-17 now. Marco Gonzalez slinging it over for Mason Raines. And Raines gets it inside to Dugat. Dugat driving, and I think they're going to say, I'm not sure. I think they said foul called against Bartley. So it'll be Landrum ball. 34-17 with 1:34 in the half. Landrum got to find some points here. We're going to check it over to Cooper Gentry. Now over to Mason Raines. Raines driving inside, sends it up and well off the mark. Almost knocked it in afterward, but Woodruff gets the rebound. 95 seconds to play. This is going to be Bartley driving inside, and now outside, that's Goggins. Short hops it, rebounded by Dugat. He gets it over to Washington. 80 seconds now. Washington driving inside, sends it up, got that one. Leads back down to 15. And Woodruff looking around. Bartley has had a busy second period. And now McConnell for another 3. Exact same turnout. Had a hand in his face. Sends it off to the left. Rebounded by Landrum. 50 seconds now. Washington for 3. Got it! Beautiful shot from Isaiah Washington. 41 seconds. Woodruff looking to slow things down. Landrum building a little bit of momentum, and the Wolverines looking to squash it. Goggins gets it to McConnell. McConnell flips it out to Tribble. Going inside, tried to get it to McConnell, and it is effectively picked off there by Dugat. And Washington spins around, sends it inside to Gonzalez. Gonzalez just flings it up there. Ill-advised shot, rebounded by McConnell. And now Nick McConnell has it stolen away, no foul. And Deion Bartley gets it, and now there's a foul for a swat, it looks like. Calling that one against Gonzalez. We got Landrum in the bonus, or Woodruff in the bonus now. That's Landrum's 9th foul with 6.3 seconds left. Bartley going to get a free throw attempt. And this one is good. Second shot coming up. Franklin Davis subs in for the last 6 seconds of the second period. And Bartley off the mark, rebounded by Mason Rains, 5 seconds. Gonna try to get some space, just gonna sling it all the way from half court, and that one comes up short. So at the break, what was a 2-point game at the end of the first period has turned into a 13-point lead for Woodruff, up 35-22 over Landrum in the final game of the Battle at the Border tournament, hosted by Landrum High School. Back in 10 minutes with the second half of action. Does Landrum have one last comeback in them to close out the tournament? We'll find out. Accidentally muted the mic there. Warm-ups just about over. Actually haven't seen Landrum. Got 2:45 left on the clock before the half starts up. Landrum's still not out of the locker room. Woodruff's been out here for a couple of minutes now. Up 35-22 going into the third period. It was 15-13 at the end of the first. Woodruff absolutely poured it on during especially the first half of that second period. Landrum kind of found their footing a little late towards the second buzzer, but by then a lot of damage had already been done. 13-point deficit. Could have been worse. Biggest lead Woodruff had was 17, but Landrum definitely with some work to do, especially on offense. Has been like pulling teeth at times, just struggling to get separation, especially from inside the paint. On the other side, though, Woodruff definitely shooting very well so far. They have not missed many shots. There have been a couple of three-pointers from long distance, low percentage shots anyway, but for the most part, the high percentage ones, easy shots from inside the paint, long setups, free throws, they've been spot on for the most part. Buzzer about to go off, clock at 10 now. Just about ready for the start of the third period. Marco Gonzalez is going to check it in for Landrum to start things out in the third. Flipping it over to Isaiah Washington. Washington and Gonzalez in particular both had busy first halves. Not a lot of points to show for it, but Washington did have some excellent three-point shots. Washington going to drive inside, trying to work from the paint. No. Rebounded by Zy Scott. Now Scott driving down the court, and this one off the rim. Jump balls, goes out of bounds, and they're going to say possession stays with Woodruff. Devon Jeter to check it in. Gets it over to Nathan Montjoy. Now to Shamar Dendy. Dendy inside to Montjoy. Tries to underhand it there, and it'll be Landrum ball. Dendy not quite ready for the pass on that one. Gonzalez going to check it in to Washington. And Washington going right for the three. What a shot. Just like that, the lead's back down to 10. 7-11 to play in the third. Inside, Montjoy getting some of those points back. Easy layup there for Nathan Montjoy. Now Gonzalez inside to Ethan Dugat. No look pass over to Cooper Gentry. Shot blocked, rebounded by Gentry. Going up again, got it. Great effort there by Cooper Gentry to put that one in. 6:45 in the third now. Shamar Dendy all alone, and that three-pointer rolls out for the rim, rebounded by Gentry. Gentry gets it over to Washington. Washington going for Raines, back to Washington. Now cutting inside, makes a man miss, driving, gets it over to Gonzalez. Gonzalez called for traveling. .6:26 in the third. Montjoy looking to throw, gets it to Bartley. Bartley over to Jeter, now to Dendy, back to Jeter. Woodruff trying to find some separation. And Jeter gonna drive inside, flips it over, was trying to get it to Scott. Scott nowhere near the ball. Now Gonzalez hesitates and can't get the layup. Bartley was right in his face. Rebounded by Woodruff. Jeter driving down, and Jeter can't make it. Rebounded by Montjoy, he can't make it. And back into the hands of Landrum now. And Washington somehow stayed in bounds there. I thought they were going to call him out for sure. Great tightrope back there by Isaiah Washington. Inside to Cooper Gentry. Gentry got the layup. 37-29 now. You hear that Landrum sideline getting loud. Bartley gonna send it over to Scott. Scott, and now the three-point attempt for Jeter off the rim, rebounded by Dugat. And Dugat hands it to Washington. Headed back down the court. Washington right for the three-pointer. Oh, just off the rim and headed out of bounds. Mason Raines did what he could to grab it, but too little too late. It'll be Woodruff ball. 37-29 with 5:06 to go in the third. This is Bartley trying to find an open man. He goes inside with Scott. Scott looking to get out and almost taken away by Washington. Dendy gets it. Now Scott going to drive inside. Sends it over to Bartley, and that window closes quickly. Bartley goes for the long two and sinks that one. Lead goes back out to 10. Mason Raines looking to cut into it. Raines sends it inside to Gentry. Gentry for the layup. Makes this one too. 6 points in the half for Cooper Gentry. About halfway through the third now. 4:20 to play. Bartley gets it to Dendy. Dendy goes for the three and sinks it. Just with a little step back and throws off center and made it look easy. And Gonzalez, again, Gonzalez has been very hesitant to shoot those threes in windows that other players have shot them in. Now, Cooper Gentry actually got shoved over there at the end of that play. And substitution. Gentry's going to check out. He'll be replaced by Noah Weiss. Foul called against Woodruff. No foul shots, though. Mason Raines to check it in. Gets it inside to Dugat. Back out to Raines. Now Raines looking. Washington driving, flips it over to Gonzalez. Gonzalez, oh, what a move by Mason Raines, and can't finish it off. Foul called, and this one going to Woodruff. I think they're going to get Dugat with a push there. 3:44 to go in the third. Bartley checks it in to Jeter. Bartley sends it over now inside, and Woodruff sends that one out of bounds. Zy Scott again tried to get it to a man that was not ready for the pass. Raines gets it to Washington. Landrum headed down the court now. 3.5 to go in the third. Washington for the long three. Off the rim and rebounded by Zy Scott. Scott with a chance to make up for that bad pass, sends it inside to Dendy and gets it. Woodruff up by 13 now. Washington getting it over to Mason Rains. Back over to Gonzalez inside. This is Noah Weiss going for the layup, and that one is blocked. And Dion Bartley was having none of that one. Now another substitution. Gonzalez out of the game. The freshman, Franklin Davison, spent some time on the JV roster this year. He's been playing with the varsity group for this tournament. Rains driving inside, flips over to Weiss. Weiss sets up for the three, and no good. Rebounded by Franklin Davis. Davis goes up and bouncing around, got the layup. Freshman making an impact early. And now Zy Scott going inside. Montjoy to Bartley. Bartley for the two, no. Rebounded by Dugat, 2:25 to go in the third. Washington bouncing off defenders, going for the long two, got it. Back down to a 3-possession game. Going inside to Bartley now is Woodruff, slinging it over for Zy Scott. 3-pointer off the rim, rebounded by Bartley. Got some serious hang time, and Bartley was fouled. 2 shots coming up for Dion Bartley. 1:59 to play in the third to get it back out to a 4-score lead for Woodruff. Shot number 1 rolls out. Shot number 2, right down the middle. 10-point lead for Woodruff, and Woodruff takes a timeout there with 1:59 to go in the third. Back in a moment. All right, we're back. That timeout felt like it took an eternity. The tension's still high, even with Landrum down by 4 possessions. And Mason Rains right for the 3-pointer off the front of the rim, and Franklin Davis had a shot, but Zy Scott comes in and gets it over to Dendy, and Dendy sinks it. 12-point lead for Woodruff now. 1:40 to play in the third. Washington sending it inside to Franklin Davis. Davis back outside to Rains. Rains over to Washington. Washington driving inside, goes for a contested 3 and somehow makes it. And they're only going to call that a 2-pointer, but still an incredible shot. 80 seconds to play in the third. Zy Scott driving in, sends it out of bounds. 74 seconds on the clock. Landrum back down to a 10-point deficit. They can get it as low as 7 with a successful 3-pointer here. Inside to Davis, outside to Weiss. Weiss trying to get some separation, gets it to Davis. Davis looking for Weiss, sets up for a 3. Weiss got it! 7-point game, 47-40. And that Landrum bench getting loud again with 50 seconds to go in the third. Montjoy going up. He has been automatic on those layups. There has not been much of a chance of stopping him when he's inside the paint for Landrum. Nathan Montjoy doing good things when he's in the game, and Washington tried to go for the quick three, knocked over, it's short, rebounded by Woodruff. Zy Scott driving inside, Scott has the layup, and just like that, Woodruff is back out to a 4-possession lead. Washington drives right inside, and now an opportunity for a three-point play. Blocking foul called against Nathan Montjoy. 9-point game to make it an 8-point game with 18.8 seconds left in the third. Substitution for Landrum. Mason Raines coming out, Jake Ballou coming in. Spencer Harmon in now as well. Washington's shot is good. 51-43. Woodruff looks like they're going to try to burn some clock here. Now over to Jeter, outside to, that's Montjoy, inside Bartley. Oh, Scott driving in, and off the mark, 4 seconds. Franklin Davis going to go for the layup, hesitates, no! So the main event living up to its title. 8-point game going into the fourth, still anyone's contest. Woodruff leads 51-43, but Landrum building some momentum. Back in a few moments. All right, so here we go. What has been a contested ball game so far. Push and pull ever since the end of the first period. Woodruff has had a pretty sizable lead for most of that time. Past 16 minutes especially, been up by 3 possessions, I think, the entire way. But Landrum starting to find their footing a little bit here. Should be an interesting fourth period. Zy Scott gets it over to Jeter. Jeter driving inside, gets it to Montjoy. Montjoy's shot is blocked, but a foul call. Nathan Montjoy with the chance to get the lead back out to 10 for Woodruff. This will make it a 4-possession game. And this one off the mark. So it'll still be a 3-score game. He can get the lead out to 9 with this shot. And this one off as well. Nathan Montjoy, some uncharacteristic misses. Rebounded by Woodruff, but then taken away by Landrum. And Isaiah Washington driving, flips it over to Weiss. Weiss for 3, off the mark. Rebounded by Montjoy. Now Bartley going to take it down the court for Woodruff. Gets it over to Shamar Dendy. Over to Montjoy, thought about going for 3. Now over to Jeter. Going to go inside, goes up, and rebounded by Montjoy. Montjoy gets fouled again. And that one up and good. Woodruff back on the board now. Cooper Gentry re-entering the game, was having a really, really solid third period until he got pushed over on a big foul call against Woodruff. Checked out and has not come back in since. Good to see he's ready to go. Landrum will definitely need his help to come back in this one. Down by 9. And Got a foul against Woodruff. Raines to check this one into Washington. Washington gets it to Raines. Raines going right for the three-pointer, off the mark, and rebounded by Gentry on cue. Can't make the shot, though. This one brought in by Bartley. Landrum got half the job done there. Couldn't finish it, though. And Bartley just slinging it over for Dendy, and Dendy gets it. Risky pass there by Dion Bartley, but it pays off. 4-possession lead for Woodruff. Raines looking for some momentum. Driving inside, flips it back out to Gentry for three. Gentry off the mark, rebounded by Franklin Davis. Davis navigating inside and gets fouled. There were 3 Wolverines surrounding him. I would have been stunned if he made it out without getting fouled. There was a lot of contact in there. Franklin Davis, the freshman, started the year on the JV team. Sinks this one. 10-point game. Noah Weiss checks out. He's replaced by Marco Gonzalez. And the shot off the mark remains a 10-point game. 4-possession lead for Woodruff. Back over to Bartley. Bartley going to send it over to Jeter. Sets it up, and man, Dendy got really close to sending that one out of bounds. And instead, it's going to be 2 points for Woodruff. And it's incredible to see just how fast the Wolverines are moving around on the court. 6 minutes to go in the game. Landrum down by 12. Mason Raines with a good three-point lane and off the mark. Rebounded by Bartley. And Bartley gets it to Shamar Dendy. 5:50 to play now. Dendy slinging it. Slinging it again. Montjoy inside, gets it. And you can feel Landrum's momentum slipping away again. Washington going to try and get some of it back. Slings it over to Gonzalez. Gonzalez going inside. Tries to send it up and rebounded by Franklin Davis. Davis sinks it. 4-possession lead for Woodruff now. Landrum going to need to start making some threes. 5:20 to go. And now Zy Scott looking around. Gonna airmail it to the paint inside. Bartley gonna drive, loses it for a second, boxes the man out, and gets fouled. .5:08 to play in the fourth. Woodruff up by 12, make it 13. Now it's a 5-score lead. Mason Raines checks out of the game. He's replaced by Patrick Clark. Second shot for Bartley is good as well. Woodruff over 60 now. 14-point lead. And inside, Gentry slinging it over. And now Washington for the long three, off the rim. I believe that's 3 missed field goals in a row now. Jalen Tribble in the game for Woodruff was going to check it in. Now it's going to be Dion Bartley. Gets it over to number 10, that's Jeter. And now driving down the court is Zy Scott, flipping it over to Dendy. Dendy steps out for 3, off the mark, rebounded by Bartley. And this one off the mark as well. Rebounded by Bartley again, whistles blow, and they say Landrum ball. Foul called against number 24, that would be Bartley. .442 to play, this one not out of reach, but Landrum got to find some kind of spark. Patrick Clark getting it to Gonzalez. Gonzalez going to try to do it himself. No, flips it out to Washington. Washington has that pass tipped. Blocked by Woodruff. 4.5 minutes to go. Woodruff with the ball, looking to make it a 16-point lead. Dendy inside, foul, 3-point play, or an opportunity for one coming up. Score is 62-46 with 4:18 to play. No, wait. They say that one goes against Woodruff, so take the points off the board. It's going to be Cardinal ball. Washington checks it to Raines. Back to Washington. Gonna drive inside for the layup. Got it. And got a timeout called by Landrum. Down by 12 with 4 minutes to play. 4:08 the official count. It's a 4-possession game. Definitely not out of reach. But at this point, they've got to find a way to stop Deion Bartley. Back in a few moments. All right, and the refs calling for both teams to get back out on the court. They used every second of that allotted time there. Ethan Dugat back in the game for Landrum. Deion Bartley going to check this one in for Woodruff. It's a 12-point game. Woodruff leads 60-48. Bartley gets it over. Oh, Landrum almost stole it away. But now there's a matchup problem inside the box, and no good. Franklin Davis takes away and then loses it. Zy Scott gets it right back. Another tussle. Scott almost lost it. Now Dendy for the long two. Off the rim, rebounded, and Goggins gets it in. Oh, and Washington tried to get too fancy, spun right into Zy Scott, who stole it away. And now Landrum's momentum fading further. 16-point game. Woodruff takes it away again. 3.5 minutes to go. Zy Scott fouled, and he'll have a chance for a 3-point play. And substitutions for Landrum. That shot might actually help Woodruff out. It was off the mark. So Zy Scott will get a second chance. Franklin Davis and Spencer Harmon in the game now. And this shot off the mark as well, rebounded by Davis. 18-point lead for Woodruff. Washington gets it to Gentry. Gentry sends it inside to Davis. Davis hangs on, and Washington tries to take a step back. Can't get the separation he needs. Raines for three. Raines off the mark, rebounded by Zy Scott. Scott gets it to Dendy. Over to Bartley. Now this is Goggins looking for a lane. Can't find one. Gets it back to Scott. Scott sends it to, that's 14 Tribble. And now Zy Scott driving inside. It's stuck. Somebody blow on it. It will go either way. You know, there have been a couple times where that has gotten close to happening through this tournament. I've actually never seen that with my own two eyes. I've seen it get stuck between the rim and the backboard. Like if somebody throws it in there too hard, it gets stuck that way. I've never seen it just stop on the rim though. That was impressive. Landrum gets the ball there. Mason Raines flips it over to Washington. Wanted to go for three, and traveling called against Washington. 2:30 left to go in the game. Landrum down big now. 18-point deficit, 66-48. Woodruff sends it. Oh, traveling call against Zy Scott. Franklin Davis from inside the paint got that one. Landrum cracks 50. 2:10 to play now. Bartley gets it over to Scott. Scott gets it to Dendy. Excuse me. Now Scott slinging it over to Montjoy. And Montjoy, no foul called. Turnover forced by Landrum. Washington driving inside, rolls off the rim and into the hands of Washington. Sends it inside, and Spencer Harmon can't do it. And you can tell Landrum's feeling the heat of this deficit. Down by 16 with 90 seconds left. And now Montjoy for the long two, sets up, no. Rebounded by Bartley. And I think we got a timeout called by Woodruff. Yes. 66-50 Wolverines when we come back. 1:24 left to go in the game. Well, looking at the standings here, Woodruff well on their way to a win here. That will put them at 3-0. They will be the only other 3-0 team with Riverside. Now, Woodruff and Riverside were never slated to play in this tournament. They have not played at all in the regular season so far. So, unless they meet in the playoffs, which I don't think is likely, I mean, I'm not entirely sure of how the basketball playoffs work, but I imagine they wouldn't. Woodruff's 3A, Riverside's 5A. But both these teams seem so evenly matched on paper, especially watching them play. Play styles are reasonably similar. Their margins of victory quite similar. They've had really strong showings throughout this tournament, and it's a real shame that they're not going to get to play each other, because that would be one heck of a game. So because of that, instead of having a true outright winner, if Woodruff is indeed able to hang on for the last 70 seconds of this one, we'll kind of be left scratching our heads. Riverside wins on tiebreakers, but would they have beaten Woodruff outright? We don't know. And even though we've only got a minute left, Landrum's down, but we can still see some exciting plays. Isaiah Washington with a big three-pointer there. 56.6 seconds left in the game. Landrum down by 13. Timeout called by the Cardinals. Now, if you want to look at adjusted point differential, that's a different story. There was a 15-point cap in place to kind of de-incentivize teams from trying to blow others out in hopes of bringing their point differential up, like when Riverside beat Chapman by 34 yesterday. Because of that cap, only 15 points got added to their total point differential on the tournament. And again, that's there, so there really wasn't any incentive for Riverside to try and run up the score. Now, they didn't run up the score. They were really going blow for blow with Chapman there at the end of that game. The score was lopsided because of a rough first half for Chapman mostly. But adjusted point differential, Riverside at plus 60. Woodruff was at plus 28 going into this one. If the game stopped right now, they would go up to plus 41. So Riverside would have scored 19 or won their games by 19 more combined points. But again, their schedules through this tournament vastly different as well. I believe only one common opponent, that being SCA. And just to highlight the differences here, Woodruff beat SCA by 9 points, 73-64. Riverside beat them by 10 today, 55-45. A 1 point difference between those two teams and their only common opponent so far. Whoa! And Cy Scott comes out of nowhere to knock that one away. It'll stay with Landrum. And Franklin Davis sinks the two-pointer. 11-point lead for Woodruff now. This is Jeter driving down the court, sends it over to Scott, and Scott got fouled. That was number 21, Grayson Foster. Just had to do everything he could to keep Scott from scoring there. We'll get 2 foul shots anyway to put the lead back out to 13. 35.7 seconds left in the battle at the border tournament. And the shot off the mark. So a good foul there by Foster, saves Landrum at least 1 point. Will it save them 2? Yes, it will. And then rebounded by Tribble, and Tribble gets it in. 68-55, 30 seconds left. Davis gets it over to Washington. Washington back inside to Davis. Foster flips it over to Raines. Raines looking off the rim, rebounded by Woodruff. Dendy with a clear line to the goal, sinks the layup. Woodruff hits 70 on the day. 10 seconds left. It looks like that's going to be your final. Unless Washington hits this 3, no. And rebounded by Davis. That shot blocked. Time expires. Woodruff moves to 3-0 on the tournament. Landrum comes up a little short, 70-55, in a game that really went back and forth in the second half. That margin, that Woodruff's lead really did not increase or decrease that much. It was I believe 15 going into halftime and 15 now. So Landrum stayed blow for blow with them in the second half. The difference, that second period in which Landrum got outscored 13 or 15-4. So if you give me one more second to figure out the standings here, Woodruff hit that 15-point cap. They were at 16. That'll get them up to... Actually, let me double check here real quick. They were at 20... They were at 24, that was it. So they get to plus 39 with the adjusted differential. Riverside's adjusted differential plus 40. So I guess to close things off, well, first off, I'd really like to thank Mike Gentry, the athletic director here at Landrum High School, Jason McCraw at the Spartanburg School District 1 District Office, and Dr. Ron Garner. They have been huge players in getting all this put together, especially on the streaming end. Can't thank you guys enough for letting us come out here and do this. I enjoyed every second of it. This was a total blast to watch. Had some great basketball games, really got to understand the game myself. I had not called a lot of basketball coming into this, and I can definitely say I'm a bigger basketball fan coming out than I was coming in. But in the meantime, my last message, I guess, to whoever's in charge of scheduling games within the SHL, somebody please set up a game between Riverside and Woodruff. I really want to see that now. Both teams 3-0 in this tournament. I don't know that we'll ever see a head-to-head matchup between them, but I can guarantee that if it ever does get scheduled, it will be an absolute barn burner. That would be a great matchup. But until then, we are left to wonder. Final tournament standings is our unofficial, but Riverside was declared the champion earlier today, 3-0 with a plus 40 margin of victory. Woodruff 3-0 with a plus 39 margin of victory, going to second place by 1 point. Chapman finishes in third place with a minus 7 margin of victory. They went 2-2 through 4 games. Boiling Springs 1-2 with a minus 7. They are fourth place. Landrum is going to drop well down the rankings. They were in 5th. Powdersville now moves up to 5th, 1-2 with a minus 25 through 3 games. SEA in 6th place, 1-3 with a minus 14, and Landrum in 7th with a 1-3, minus 26. And despite the low finish, I will say this, Landrum had far and above the best game in this tournament. Oh, and Isaiah Washington rounding out the last of the all-tournament bracket, or the all-tournament team, excuse me. Or I think we might have a few from Woodruff as well. And Deion Bartley named to the all-tournament team as well.
Number 3,
Shamar Dendy named, so I guess they were going to go for 10.
And the way we've done this tournament is by the point system. And so even though the Woodruff Wolverines are undefeated, according to the point system, it lost them 1 point. So they can't get any better than that there, brother. So congratulations to our runner-ups for the 21st annual battle for shootout.
So
Woodruff Wolverines, give them a hand.
So it's official. Woodruff loses the tournament by 1 point. Seriously, somebody schedule these guys against Riverside. As a fan of basketball, I want to see that game. That would be awesome. In the meantime, let me get the names typed up for the second part of the all-tournament team.
And don't forget, all the games for the 3-day tournament have been live streamed on YouTube. So you can go to YouTube, check them out, you can find them on the Landrum High School Athletics or Jackson High School Athletics. So check it out. Once again, thanks for being here. Be careful as you ride home, be safe, be smart. Thank you for social distancing, wearing a mask, and sitting over there. I love you, but most of the people that God loves you. Until next time, thank you.
I really think I'm forgetting somebody, and I apologize for that, but everybody's starting to filter out. We got to get packed up, or Mike Gentry's going to be mad at us for sticking around too long. Your all-tournament team: Cam Earls from Boiling Springs, JP Duke from SDA, Shamar Dendy and Dion Bartley from Woodruff, Isaiah Washington from Landrum, Donovan Soriano from Riverside, alongside, I believe it was Pharrell Boyagueno from Riverside. That was the guy I was forgetting. Sebastian Bejarano from Powdersville, Banks Atkins from Chapman, and your tournament MVP, Alexi Aturbi from Riverside. That's going to do it for us. Our next live streamed event is going to be January 4th, JV basketball at Landrum, I believe. Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the Landrum Athletics channel. That way you will be notified anytime we go live. Don't have to rely on Facebook posts or word of mouth or anything like that. It'll go straight to your phone or personal device. So until January 4th, I'm Luke Ruff signing off for Spartanburg School District 1 Athletics. I'd like to thank you for joining.